Welcome everybody to another issue of Just Sitting Around and Talking with Wedding Pros. Welcome y'all. And I'm Stacy with the Wedding Expo. And how about we have everybody go ahead and say who they are. You want to start, Megan?
Sure. Hi everybody, I'm Megan Brogan with Shutter Force Photography with my sidekick Sydney hanging out.
Great. And Matt?
Matt with Matt Blazing Photography. I'm sorry my dogs are not with me because I'm in the office, and so I shut the door and let them out.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, Brian.
Yes, I'm Brian with ABC Cake Shop and Bakery.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. We were going to talk today just about unique things. Everybody wants their wedding to be unique. And I understand that it's your wedding, your day. But oftentimes there just aren't that many things you can do that no one else has ever done. So we wanted to talk about different things that can make it unique and how maybe you can personalize it to be something that is truly your day. It's going to be your day no matter what. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that somebody else used those same colors. It's not going to matter because you still are different and are bringing your own personality and combining all these elements together to make it your day. But there have been, some of these wedding pros have seen and heard a lot of things in covering the weddings. And we just wanted to talk about what things they've heard, seen, and been witness to that do make things unique. So Megan, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. I'll start us off here with, it's actually a wedding that we photographed last year that was actually in Hawaii. So it's not going to look like Albuquerque photos, but get you a little green tropical imagery here. But this is a really special couple that music is very important to their relationship and their lives. And the bride has the most beautiful singing voice. And something that we'd never seen done at a wedding before is, which was also a surprise gift for the groom and all the guests as well, was that the bride actually serenaded the groom as she walked down the aisle with her mother and father on either side of her. And one of their groomsmen actually played the guitar. So he was kind of set up for the walk in and started playing guitar. And then all of a sudden she was actually hiding behind the bushes and started singing. And it sounded almost pre-recorded. Nobody could kind of figure out where this voice was coming from. And then she came around the corner and she had a microphone, and it was really special. But I'll share my screen so you can actually get the visual to go along with it here. Here is the lovely cat. Can you guys see that okay?
So she's got her wireless mic. And
yeah, so she's got a wireless mic. So just beyond that hedge there are the rest of the guests. And you can see, I don't know if you can you see my mouse moving around?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So over here is where the groomsman is playing the guitar, and this is the maid of honor walking down. So the bride is about to walk around this corner here. And this is what all of the guests were able to see as she started to walk with her parents down the aisle. And she sang an entire song while she was walking. I mean, talk about multitasking. This is her reaction as soon as she finished singing her song. And this is her beautiful, handsome groom who had no idea that she was going to be giving that special gift. And that was something that was really, really special for Katrina and Gretzky. It was a really special part of the wedding and something that we hadn't seen. I mean, we've seen neat incorporations of music before, but never in the ceremony quite that way. It was pretty special.
Yeah, weren't you telling us about a time when when the groom learned to play something for the bride too?
Yes.
Another thing with music. What happened there?
So I actually have those photos for you too. So we actually had a groom learn how to play the guitar. He started a year before the wedding. Let's see if I can find, here he is. So he started a year before the wedding and learned a special song, learned how to play the guitar, and sang along and serenaded his bride. It wasn't a surprise. She knew that he was working on it, but it was something that she was looking forward to tremendously. And he had kind of kept all of his practicing totally secret. So you can imagine that there was just an overflow of emotion when she actually got to hear and watch him perform. And it was a very, very special moment. So we love when music is incorporated into couples. It's a great way to, to take things that you're passionate about in your regular life, especially things that have brought you together as a couple, to incorporate those on your wedding day. Just because it's never been done before doesn't mean that it's not something that you can, not incorporate. You get creative and find those little touches. It's what makes your wedding extra special.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be music. Have you seen it in other ways? Have you seen things, little extra touches?
Yeah, we've seen lots of whether it's art or if there's a shared passion for pop culture or movies or there's all kinds of themes that couples will do at their weddings. We've seen some pretty amazing cake toppers, which I'm sure that Brian can share some good stories about how couples incorporate their themes to make their cake special, and they are pretty masterful in producing amazing cakes for that very special occasion.
Okay, then speaking of which, Brian, tell us about what you've seen or created.
Yes, I always like to do more of a unique personal touch. So I like to ask them questions, get to know them a little bit more. So I want to go ahead and get some pictures going. Give me one moment. Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Now it's black. Wait.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Okay. So this one is a cake we did back in last July, and the cake itself is about 9.5 feet high, and it has a mixture of flowers, tropical. Just want to kind of show different angles, and that is my decorator. The design that we actually piped on the cake was based off of her dress, which was maybe a handful that was made in the world, and she actually got she got the ability to go ahead and get it custom made, custom fitted. It had a really long train of flowers. So that was the concept. This cake is based off of her dress. The train that kind of extends from her dress is the flowers wrapping around. The design my coworker's piping was the lace work that was covering the top of the cake. And there is a better visual of it. So the topper is the spiraling up, which is this part here. This was 10 feet, and her brother made it. And there's butterflies, and they were representing the friends, family that weren't able to attend, that they were looking down upon the wedding.
That is
yes.
Okay, so I have to ask, how much did this thing cost? You can
lot.
ballpark it.
Almost 10,000 up there.
Okay, so if I don't have 10 grand to drop on a 9-foot tall cake.
This is the lovely couple. Amazing, amazing, super wonderful to work with. But yes, we always just like to customize options as best as possible. So I do have some other examples as well to kind of make it sweet, but a little bit more like comical. Here's this one I want to show. So this little funny hybrid is a groom's cake that the bride kept saying that his actual first love before they met was his dog. So the body is a replica of his dog, and the head is Radiohead, which is his favorite band. So even if it's something more playful like this, we always like to just kind of add in your own little style, character, whatever you need to kind of represent you.
So you can do unique, fun twists without a humongo budget, right?
Yeah, yes, of course.
It just takes being creative, and it takes thinking about what you want to do to make it different, right?
Yes, even something very, very subtle, like these two pictures, they were art and history. Um, and that's they were both going to school for that. So we kind of based it off of their favorite painting. So Picasso's Starry Night. So we kind of did hand painted icing with some edible gold. Here's a zoom in of that.
Very cool.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be a personalized touch. That's what our main goal is.
So when people do these, they should concentrate on pleasing things that are personal and things that they want, right?
Definitely, yes.
Because that's not a traditional cake.
Correct. Yeah, it's not about wowing or spending way more than what you need to on budget. It's just reflects you. What do you want your guests to walk away representing you? Are you more romantic? Are you more creative? Whatever you want to go ahead and have that like remembering feeling your guests leave with. That's what we want to focus on.
So when a couple comes in, should they be thinking about things to tell you photographers or things to tell you, Brian, little touches that then you can help take and run with? Is that helpful to you?
Yes, definitely. I always like to ask like off the wall, not standard questions like what is your favorite season? What do you do as like hobbies? How did you meet? Not so much always wedding related because this is just a certain part in your time or in your life. We want to know everything else that got you here. So your honeymoon, we did a Disney inspired cake. So they're celebrating their honeymoon, actually their engagement and honeymoon. We're going to be at Disney, one in California, one in Florida. So we want to kind of tie in that aspect.
Well, that's great. So you can make it unique to you just with your personality, these little touches.
Definitely, yes.
Great. Did you want to show us anything else?
Let me.
I mean, a 9-foot tall cake is pretty good.
Yeah. we can definitely go ahead and just go to Matt, and I can go ahead and see any other pictures
Okay.
I can share afterwards.
Hey, Matt, I mean, you were telling us about a unique thing happening at weddings before we started. Why don't you tell us about that? Oh, sorry. Wait.
We happen to be one of the ones to be able to photograph this because of the worldwide shutdown and everything right now. We got to do our first wedding just 2 days ago where people were wearing face masks, and the wedding was in the bride's parents' house in a cul-de-sac. And so we had visitors driving up with signs hanging out of the windows, and they're over there handing out 6-packs of Corona. And, it was just, it felt very strange because just a year ago, things were just very, I don't want to say grandiose. Like it feels that way now because the weddings and elopements that we've been doing have been no less or no more than 10 people total. So it all feels very strange. But as far as unique weddings, there's one that actually came to mind while you guys were talking. And I don't want to put it into like a situational thing. I don't want to share like COVID weddings because now everyone's going to have like Corona and toilet paper and all those kind of things. But there was a wedding that we did January of last year, so it's been a little over a year now. And there was a couple. Both of them were Air Force. One of them lived in Alamogordo, down by White Sands, and the other one I can't remember where, but. They had known each other for a long time, and their paths just kept on crossing. And so they had met probably about 2 years ago at this point. And their wedding, we actually, if you get a hold of Rachel Pierce, she could actually tell you about this wedding. It was so freaking cool. They live in Japan now. After their wedding about a year ago, or little over a year ago, January, February of last year, they had ended up moving to Japan. And so for their wedding, it was kitsune themed. And so kitsune is like the Japanese term for fox. And so it's something that is, it can be construed as one of those entities. It's like a guardian, a friend, a lover, a spouse, but also mischievous in the same way. And so when they had their wedding, they all had these super, super cool, it was dark. So the person who was the officiant was like reading a poem the whole time the wedding party was walking in. They were all in kimonos with fox masks on. And I wish that I could share my screen, but I couldn't get my computer up in time. And so I can't share, but it's on my website. But it was just so cool. Like the room was dark, and for us as photographers, that was challenging, being able to photograph in a dark environment. And they were carrying like these lanterns as they were walking out, and it was just the coolest wedding that we've probably ever done. I would say like in the top 5. It was absolutely amazing. But for them, because they knew that they were going to be stationed in Japan, that was how I think they're going to be there for another 2 years, I want to say. But that's how they decided to do their wedding, and it was so absolutely unique that I can't get it out of my head. So, you know, it was neat.
And everybody should go to Matt's website and look at those images because they're amazing. As soon as you said that they had moved to Japan, I was like, oh, I know which wedding this is. The photos are amazing. I mean, it's just like, it's so creative, it's so unique, and completely all about that couple. I mean, just no, but you can't replicate it. And it's really astonishing. And the images are gorgeous.
Thank you so much, Megan. And again, it's mattblazing.com, and I'm going to promote this because I spent the last 2 months making this mobile friendly, and it loads super fast, and yeah, it'll look awesome.
Good job. Good job. Well, so in these kind of choosing these little things to put in there, what is your advice to couples about that? Because could you go overboard to where you're trying to put in so many different things and things that are just a trend now, but then in 2 weeks you're gonna be tired of it? Do you find couples trying to do that and forcing it? Or is it something that you should try to really think about and not, my gut tells me you shouldn't try to force it. It needs to be something organic between you two. But what can you say about that? Do you want to say something about that, Matt?
Yeah, just looking back on my own wedding, Amy and I were pretty specific about what we wanted, and we didn't really look at trends. We just looked at the things that we liked. And so for Amy and me, we got married at Walt Disney World. And Amy, when I met her, she was very much into Disney, and she actually, like, I went to Disneyland once when I was like 8, you know, and so when we went to Disney World in Florida, she kind of got me sucked into it because I'm like, oh wait, this is super awesome for adults. And so Epcot is like, I will go there all day, every day. But we actually got married in Epcot. And one of the things that we were thinking about is like, how can we make it us and still make things easy for the guests? Because, you know, a wedding is a party, and you still have to take your guest consideration into account. And, you know, even if everything is about you, that's excellent, but you also just want to make it a cool, easy day for everybody, including the couple, including the wedding party and all your guests. And so I think that for us, we did a lot of pre-work. We made our own boutonnieres, bouquets, invitations, things like that, because that's what we like to do. That's not for everybody. That's just what we wanted. But if you're going to make something unique, I would say to really just focus on what you want. There's a lot of trends out there, and it's easy to look at the trends and to get sucked into like 10 of them and be like, we need to have all 10 of these things. I would really just recommend on what really touches you, what strikes you, what would you really want, because that's what's going to matter, you know. That's, yeah, I mean, that's about it. My answer is weird because it's just such a huge topic that I can't really answer everything all at once, but just, you know, find the things that strike you and try to keep it down to like 2 or 3 things. And, you know, just like the things that are super important, because honestly, if you don't have that one little sign that's there when somebody walks in, you may not notice it, you know. So just like try to stick to the things that are super important to you, and then everything else is just kind of fill itself, you know.
Yeah. What about you, Brian? What do you think? What do you recommend for them?
The exact same thing. Focus on the key things that reflect on you and your style. So that's why I like to ask not standard questions, and get to know them. It's when I meet couples, it's literally like we're gossiping for 15-20 minutes. I can get to know them more on a personal basis, so they don't have to get stuck in what's trending and what everyone else is doing. We can use that, but let's build off of it. Let's kind of create a little hybrid of it that is budget conscious, that is friendly on your guests, on your style, on your colors. So we can use that, but I don't usually stay within that little box that they give me. I kind of go off of what they tell me there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Megan, anything else on these themes?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of compiling, compounding on what everybody else has been saying, that I think it's good to find a balance between the things that you know are going to make your wedding special to you, that you're going to be really excited about, that also aren't going to stress you out. So find that happy medium of the things that, I always try to think about, especially as a photographer, what people are going to remember the most from your wedding, whether it's you or your guests. I mean, if it's going to stress you out to make, mason jar table centerpieces that you want, you're obsessed with it on Pinterest, and you're going to spend all this time with your bridesmaids, and you're going to do this whole thing. And is that what you're going to remember 5 years from now? If that's important to you, then do it. Then those are the things that are going to, they're going to be worth it. If that just stresses you out, that idea of it, then that's not something that you need to incorporate just because it's trendy and it may look beautiful, but if it's not going to add to your wedding, then that's not something that, we would recommend. Find the little things that are going to have that staying power, the longevity. For my own personal wedding, my husband and I, we asked each of our bridesmaids and groomsmen, we had a big mixed bridal party. So we had guys and girls on both sides, and it was great. And they actually all walked down individual to their own theme song. So they didn't, that was something that was really important for us, that they pick a song that they thought was like representative of them. And that was like their entrance song to the wedding. And honestly, it was one of the best things we ever did, because A, I didn't have to plan it. They all had to pick their own songs. And B, it was the thing that the guests will not stop talking about 7 years later. And we watched some of our, very kind of reserved friends bust out and do these crazy dance moves and stuff before to kick off the wedding. And it was very simple, but it made a huge impact, way more than, all the effort that I put into doing crazy centerpieces and everything, which were beautiful. And I love the photos of them. But the most, meaningful thing that made our wedding unique was that, very simple idea that made each of the people that we love the most, that we wanted attending us at our wedding, have their moment to shine. And so find those little things that are going to make your wedding really, really, really special for you in the long run, and not stress you out in the meantime.
Oh, that's great. That's great advice. Any final thoughts from anybody? You want to say anything else?
Yeah, I do want to say one thing, that finding something that makes your wedding unique doesn't have to be a big production either. I want to show one photo real quick. We see a lot of cake cuttings, right, at weddings. Brian makes a lot of cakes. They tend to be, the cake part of the wedding day tends to be very much the same across the board. You can have really unique cakes, but the actual process of when you actually go up and cut the cake is kind of very traditional. They cut the cake together, and then one person takes a bite, and then the other person takes a bite, and they feed each other, and then sometimes they smash it. It's very predictable. But something that made this wedding very, very special was kind of unintentional, but the bride and groom, their nieces, who were both the flower girls, kind of crashed the cake cutting. And it was the most adorable, amazing cake cutting we've ever seen. They actually just rolled with it, and they all shared the cake together. I'll show you the image so you can actually get a better idea of it here. Let's see. So they were the most adorable kids. And rather than having this very traditional cake cutting, it ended up being 15 minutes long of the audience just fawning over the most adorable girls ever, eating cakes and feeding the groom. And I don't even know that the bride actually fed the groom, but because they were all family coming together, it made it really, really special and really unique. And it wasn't something that, you know, was hugely planned in any way. But it ended up being this really magical moment that made the wedding so very special. And it's, again, like Brian says, get those questions down to the meat of what is important in your relationship and your important in your wedding day. For them, family is everything. So they don't have any regrets about not having a picture of just the two of them eating a piece of cake together. What matters to them is that these adorable little girls were so immersed in their wedding day, and that's something they're going to treasure forever. And that's the whole point of a wedding, right? Is making these memories that you're going to treasure forever.
Yeah, and so also sometimes those happy accidents and those planned things can be the most memorable parts of the wedding too, right?
100%.
I love.
Anybody else want to add?
Yes. May was saying to do will add and not take away from the moment. I actually had a picture that the couple just wanted cake. They didn't care about the design or anything, so they gave it to their parents to go ahead and design for them. And they're both very family oriented, and I wanted to show you this picture really quickly. And it was Indian-based wedding, and the family does pottery. So they did this design, and of this, the family, I believe it was the bride's dad, made. I just replicated onto the cake. So this is their Pueblo logos on the cake. This is the grooms, this is the brides, and this is the pottery based on their Pueblos. So it was something meaningful to them, but it wasn't the added on stress that they wanted to do. They left it to their family, and they went ahead and did it. And they absolutely loved it. And there's one more that they wanted, here you go, a his and hers concept. So they got to design their own cakes, and the groom went with a Batman-based theme, and the bride went with a very traditional theme. So it was, instead of trying to compromise and figuring out the top three, it was literally what's your concept, what's mine, and literally let's merge them together. And it was literally their entire wedding was based like this.
Oh, that is really cute. Hey, they're coming together already on even a cake.
Yeah. So it wasn't compromise. It was literally what's your ideas, what's her ideas, and just incorporating it to make it very fun and easy and unique.
That's great. Well, guys, thanks so much for sharing all this with us. We'll look forward to talking to you and other people next week. Okay.
All right.
Nothing else. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.